For centuries, we have pictured Antarctica as just a large sheet of ice. But what if I tell you there are giant canyons underneath it? These canyons are so deep that it makes Grand Canyons look like a dwarf. Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel, Everything with Dr. James. In today's video, we are going to be seeing about these canyons which are present in Antarctica, which is reshaping the ideas we knew about climate change. And let's see what these canyons have impact in today's world. When you think of Antarctica, we think that it is a giant sheet of ice with some places the thickness of ice being about 3 miles. Its size of the continent is more than USA and Mexico combined. We all knew before that there is a lot of mountains and valleys hidden underneath this continent, but we couldn't explore it because of the lack of technologies available as well as the thickness of the ice which prevented us from penetrating it. Because this depth can give us a good idea of how the climate has changed, because at one point these areas were mountains and now they are covered with ice, and it would have given us good idea about it. Also, you need to understand that this Antarctica is surrounded by the Indian Ocean. Unlike the Atlantic and Pacific Ocean, the currents in the Indian Ocean are much stronger than what is there in the Pacific as well as in the Atlantic Ocean, which prevents us from examining this region. We know more about the surface of Mars than we know about what is present underneath our own place. This is one of the last frontiers which humanity has not broken, but now today it has been broken and we have found canyons inside Antarctica. Now let's see how they found it. So let's see how the scientists found these canyons. So for this, there were several expeditions which have happened over the years. Initially, they used icebreakers to break the ice and use single beam sonars to find out what was there present inside, that is below the layer of this ice. But this technology was rudimentary, that they were giving only a single pixel image which was about a kilometer or two. This can be given by an example like you're trying to read a book. This book is there in one side of the football field and you are standing on the other side of the football field trying to read the book. So you might be able to read the title of the book, but you will not be able to read what is there inside the book. This is what was happening. These single pixel images were giving the scientists an idea of something was there inside, that is mountains, valleys were present, but they did not know exactly what was there. So what they did was they collected the image of these 40 expeditions, and again they conducted more expeditions where they used multi sonar imaging which created pictures of better pixel rate, and that was showing 50 times higher resolution than this single sonar imaging technique. Once they got all these images, they were finding it difficult to find out which were valleys, which were mountains, which were canyons, because that was not giving them a clear idea, because it is the first time they are seeing that. So they have a software just like Google Maps called as the IBCSO. The version 2 of this software gave an accurate imaging of this map. How they did that was they taught the computer how a canyon will look like. They gave the length, width and height of how an canyon will look like for an example, and the images were uploaded to this, and because of this the computer found out that these were the canyons which were existing there. This algorithm based search helped us map the canyons which are present below the Antarctic ice sea. The results from these findings were astonishing. What they found out was an intricate system of canyons buried deep beneath the ice of Antarctica. The number of canyons present there were 332, with the largest canyon being about 4,000 meters in height. To understand the scale of this, you can think that the largest canyon we know is the Grand Canyon situated in USA, and it is 1,800 meters only. This is double that size. Think of 10 Empire State Buildings stacked on top of each other. This is the height of these canyons. Now, also you need to understand one more astonishing fact, that the canyons which are present in West Antarctica were completely different from the canyons which were present in East Antarctica. The canyons which were present in West Antarctica were taller and they were steeper and they were having a U-shaped structure, showing that they were the ones which were present formed first or in the earlier period, whereas the canyons in the East Antarctica were relatively newer, that is they were still in the V-shaped pointed smaller canyons. This shows us that the canyons in the West Antarctica formed first, followed by the canyons in the East Antarctica. The question in everybody's mind now will be, how were these canyons formed? For this, you need to understand the concept of turbidity currents. So what happens is, in Antarctica, we have large thick sheets of ice lying on a layer of land. So this land is made up of mud and a lot of sediments. Now, when this sheet of ice moves, something called as an underwater avalanche happens. This underwater avalanche, unlike in regular avalanches where we see in Switzerland or anywhere where there is snow, here the avalanche is consist of mud, sand. Why? Because when this ice moves, it takes this sand also along with it and it deposits at the tip of the continent like a shelf. So as we can see, the concept is there is a lot of ice in the continent and at the edges they deposit the sand. As this sand gets accumulating over a period of years, they start forming a mountainous structure. And once they reach the point of instability, this will fall off like an avalanche. When this falls like an avalanche, it goes into the seabed with so much weight of sand and mud falling into the seabed. They will bury into the seabed and they will cause a U-shaped canyon region, because think of this process happening over millions of years. So when this turbidity currents with the Antarctic ice moving, pushing these ice and the mud below it and forming shells, and this sand forming avalanches over millions of years, and this sand falling into the seabed, they will erode the seabed and start forming these canyons, and over millions of years such canyons are formed. Till now we have discovered 330. The discovery of these canyons have found out something alarming. This has a direct link to global sea level rise. So what is happening is, in the edge of the Antarctic region there is cold dense water. We all know that when the water density is more, the water will go down and it flows through these canyons which are situated deep near the ice. With this cold dense water flowing down, they contribute to oceanic currents, which is an intricate system which is contributing to the currents of the entire world. Changes here will affect changes in other oceans also. Now, with cold dense water flowing deep in these canyons, the warmer water will flow at a layer above it. Above it lies the ice, which is the Antarctic ice. With warm water flowing above this cold water region, it is slowly eating away this Antarctic ice. With canyons present there, it is providing a perfect area where the cold dense water flows through the canyons and warm water flowing above it, and this warm water is slowly eating away the Antarctic ice. But what is the significance of this ice melting? What happens when ice melts? Water is formed, and this water will now cause a rise in global sea level. This will cause a lot of problems in many areas in coastlines, because with sea level rising, many land areas in the sea line which is present will now be covered with water, and it will make these places uninhabitable. To take an example, we can think of using blow torches for melting a skyscraper which is made of ice. Slowly, as you start using more and more blow torches made of fire, this ice will start melting, and eventually the skyscraper will be destroyed. That is what is happening to Antarctica now, and the discovery of these canyons have shown that with cold dense water flowing in them and warm water flowing at a layer above it, this will cause more acceleration in this Antarctic ice melting and causing a global rise in water level. The discovery of these canyons have told us something alarming, that the ice sheets in Antarctica are melting because of it. This is something of nature and we cannot stop it. But what we can do is predict. So what is the next step? What we can do is we can create underwater vehicles which can withstand the pressure in these deep canyons and send them inside and find out if any life is existing there, what kind of corals live there. Also, we can understand how fast this ice is melting. This will give us a climate prediction model of the global rise in sea level, which will help us predict the areas at risk, and we can safely evacuate these coastline areas in years to come. Do like, share and subscribe me for more interesting videos.